chicken necks, fowl necks, chicken backs, razor clams, bull lips, bunker, salted eel. There's lots of choices when it comes to crabbing and crabbing bait. What's going to catch you the most crabs? Stay tuned to find out. So today we're going to talk with David Bishel from Millington Seafood. He's a seafood wholesaler, sells bait, and it's where I get my bait. He's a crabbing enthusiast, and I would consider him a bait expert. Before we get started, huge shout out to all those fathers out there. Happy Father's Day. I actually got to spend some time with my father yesterday out in the water. It was a great bonding experience. The crabbing wasn't great, and the weather turned horrible. We sat through a lot of this. We bounced around the river, thought we were doing well, and then a oyster dredger came by and decided to start dredging next to my line, and things kind of died down, and we didn't really find another good spot. And weather was coming, thought we were going to wait it out, and we ended up with this. And then it cleared, and we relayed, and we thought we found some more crabs, and then the weather redeveloped again, and we sat with this. Regardless, it was an awesome time to spend time with my father. Huge shout out to you. I love you, Dad. And after this dockside chat with Dave Bishel, I'll announce all the winners of the grab bag giveaway and the 200 subscriber giveaway. So when I originally set up this interview with David, I was going to focus just on razor clams. I sat down with him. I couldn't hold him back. He just kept talking about all sorts of cool things and cool ideas all over crabbing. So it's going to focus mostly on baiting, but we got all over the place. It was a great conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you liked it, please leave a comment below. Let me know. If you got other topics you'd like to talk about, you can leave them down below as well. It did get pretty long, but I really can't find anything to edit out. I'll put some markers in the description so you can skip through if you don't really want to watch it all. But it was a great time. I really thank David for giving me his time and sitting down with an interview. And like I said, if you liked it, you got more questions, leave a comment down below. Tried to focus mostly on bait, but there's some really great tips and information in this interview outside of bait. So without further ado, let's roll that interview. What's up, everybody? Captain Matt here, and I'm here with Dave Bishel.
Yep, Dave Bishel, yes sir.
We're here to talk about razor clams. So first, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I've been in the business of basically seafood, wholesaling seafood and baits and things of that nature for about 10 years. Before that, I'd worked in the electronics industry for a company called, started out as a company named Rodell. It was in Newark, Delaware, and it grew to be quite big. We serviced the electronic industry as far as like semiconductor polishing. A large company came in, bought it out. Dow Chemical restructured the business, and I wound up here.
Did you buy this place?
A partner did, and basically I manage it and run it for a business partner.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So what's your primary business here?
Primary business is snapping turtles. So we process snapping turtles for, it used to be an export business and a meat processing business. We would sell export turtles into a Chinese market. They had live turtle market over there where they actually would raise the babies to butcher and process over there. And we also have a meat market where we process turtles and sell into mostly southern markets and some into like the Philadelphia area. So we would get a snapping turtle in, process it, debone it, boneless meat, that kind of stuff, and we would ship it to various markets.
That's awesome. So are they caught then or farmed?
They're all caught. Wild caught turtles. I'm the biggest snapping turtle buyer probably in the country at this point.
Oh wow.
So I get them all the way from as far south as I've gotten turtles out of Georgia, and as far north as where states are allowed. A lot of the northern states have shut down turtling to protect them because there was some angst when the Chinese market got kind of strong. The fish and game folks were afraid that there was too much pressure, so a lot of fisheries just shut it down. So, but I still get a lot of turtles from like New Jersey, some from Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. So, yep.
Big crab bait?
Turtles? No, I don't.
Never tried?
Never tried. Might have to try something like that.
Yeah.
I think a guy got a bunch of turtle livers off me one time at Tron for bait, but I never anything back. So who knows? That'd be something for you.
So are they a food, or are they a Asian delicacy? Is that what you said?
The turtles?
Yeah.
Basically snapper soup. Snapper
okay.
soup is the most yeah, that's the most prevalent thing in this area. Down south, it's more like gumbos and turtle pot pies and things of that nature. So
You ever eat it? It's good?
I love, yeah, it's something you either like or you don't. There's not much in between ground. So I've never been say it's okay. It's either like, wow, that's good, or no, I don't like it. So
That's awesome.
and it tastes like what it tastes like. So it's not like chicken like everybody says. So
Right.
yeah.
And then you sell clams.
Yeah, I sell razor clams. I sell a lot of different baits. I sell foul necks, razor clams, bunker, shrimp heads. You know, the bunker and shrimp heads are primarily used by the potters. I've had a couple guys try to use shrimp heads on a trot line, but a shrimp head is more about getting scent into the water, and you're drawing a crab into a commercial pot. He's not going anywhere. If there's nothing there for him when he gets to that bait, he's not going to stick around on the trot line very long.
So one of my ideas.
Yeah,
I want to try that.
Well, I don't know that it wouldn't hurt to like maybe spot bait that and try and attract them to your line. I've always wanted to try that too. There's a lot of experimenting I've always wanted to do, but I never did.
So let's talk about clams.
Okay.
Best bait there is for trout lining?
Yeah, I think so
Traps?
by far. I mean, so especially if you're crabbing commercially.
This can be Dave's opinion. If you talk to crabbers, everyone's going to have an opinion.
Yep.
I have my own opinions.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be like Dave's opinion, but
Yep.
go ahead.
Right. So typically, and I know this for a fact through trial and error, clams work better than chicken or any other bait you're going to use in cooler water temperatures.
Okay.
So like in the spring and in the fall, you're going to catch more crabs with clams. In the summertime, clams will catch just as well, but when water temperatures get up, they don't hold up as well.
The clams.
The clams will hold up as well because, well, if there's a lot of small crabs around,
Yeah.
you guys know they're going to get on there and they're going to destroy your bait. So you'll have to bait really heavy. Some tricks that I used to do when I wanted to use clams, because that was my preferred bait. I would take multiple lines. Like when there's a lot of crabs around, I would take 4,800 feet, start out with a 2,400 foot piece in the morning, crab that till about 9 o'clock till it got destroyed. Then I'd dump my other 2,400 foot piece off, and I would stay with the line and crab it more frequently. So, but ounce for ounce, pound for pound, clams are going to outcatch anything you use. Now, my other philosophy is if you're a recreational crabber and you're only out there trying to catch a bushel or two, it's a lot less work to use chicken and foul necks. And I like foul necks better than chicken necks. Chicken necks are big and fat and kind of fatty. Crabs like foul necks better. They're skinnier, it's a smaller piece of meat, and I had a lot more success using foul necks than I did chicken necks. Chicken necks will catch. So it's one of these things
That's interesting. I never tried a foul neck.
Yeah, most of the commercial guys that are trot lining for a living, if they're using chicken, they're using foul necks.
Oh.
So
And you sell foul necks too?
yes, I do. Yeah.
What's a 20 pounds? Is it 20 pounds?
They come in 40-pound
40
cases,
pounds?
and there's like 4 10-pound bags in there. And basically a 10-pound bag will do about 500 to 600 feet, depending on how far apart your baits are. Foul necks are long. The other thing I like about foul necks is if you buy 40 pounds of foul necks, you're getting more for your money because chicken necks are fatter, so you're getting fewer necks. The foul necks are skinnier and they tend to be a little bit longer. They're a mature chicken, and so you can cut them in sometimes 2 or 3 pieces. You don't need a great big piece of bait. If there's a lot of crabs and you're afraid you're going to get ate up, make it a little bit bigger. Some guys like to salt them sometimes as well. Put them in a salt brine to toughen them up a little bit. But fresh chicken works really well.
Okay.
So back to so if you're a recreational crabber and you're only going to catch 1 or 2 bushel, and there's a lot of crabs around, use foul necks because you're going to catch your crabs. It might take a little bit longer, but you're still going to get your crabs, and it's going to take you significantly less time to bait up.
Gotcha. So you talked on one topic. So a lot of people ask, how many clams should I put in my bag?
So that basically depends on a lot of things too as well. Like in the fall and spring when the water temperatures are less, you can get away with using fewer clams because the crabs, they're not as, starving as they're not going to tear your baits up. They're not going to annihilate you. You can actually spot bait, like you can use clams in cooler water multiple times. You can go back and spot bait them for 3 or 4 days and just keep, rebaiting where they've destroyed you. And they vary by size. So if you got great big clams, you can get away with 4 or 5. If you got small clams, you're going to put a handful in there.
Yep.
I always So there's so many variables involved with crabbing and trot lining. I always try and reduce the amount of variableness, if that's a word. So I always went heavy on my baits. I always made pineapples. So like I stuffed my bags. I would put 6, 8 clams in every bag, and that way I don't have to worry about it. So you know, in the grand scheme of things, it increases your cost a little bit. But if I'm out here catching 6, 7 bushels of crabs and I'm selling them for whatever, 150, 160 bucks a piece at the time, I'm not worried about spending 50 or 60 bucks on a bag of bait. You know,
Right.
I'm gonna
As long as you catch it.
as long as you're catching, right. But yeah, so by far and away, I believe in baiting heavy. The other thing is, it depends on how far apart your baits are. So if I'm a recreational crabber and I'm only allowed 1,200 foot of line, I would set my baits at 6 or 8 foot apart.
Yep.
I mean, I would go full pull. You know, I mean between.
That was me.
Yeah, full pull. But then when I started crabbing commercially and like seriously crabbing trot lining, and I'm long lining and I'm out there sometimes with 4,800 feet of line, I went with 10-foot baits. And I mean, a lot of the commercial guys that do this every day, day in and day out, they have different philosophies on.
They do. That's why I like to say that. Everyone has their opinion. There's not really a right or wrong.
Yeah.
There's some general rights and wrongs, but it's whatever works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the amount of gear you're fishing, where you're fishing, the time, that all comes into play. So, but like I've talked to a lot of the commercial guys, and some of these guys, they're setting their baits on 16, 18-foot centers. And some of the logic behind that is if you're in an area where there's a lot of small crab, if you put that bait, if you have a bait everywhere a crab can get a bait, every crab's going to get a bait. But if you have fewer baits further apart, that big Jimmy is going to get on that bait and he's going to run those little crabs. So you may catch fewer crabs, but you'll catch more of the bigger crabs, better quality crabs.
Crabs don't like to share bait.
One of the things that I learned early on, I started out pull potting. And I'm sitting here, I got a pull pot like every 50 foot, you know, so just far enough that I can pull it up, drop it, get to the next spot. And I'm going, why am I putting a chicken neck every 6 foot when I'm trot lining? But when I'm pull potting, I got a bait every 50 foot. And sometimes I would do just as well with 25 pots. You know, I would catch 3 or 4 baskets with 25 pots as I would with 1,200 foot of trot line. So then I started stretching the line to bait a little further.
Yeah, that was really weird. I made that same mistake. I talked in another video when I finally got my LCC.
Right.
I was still running like I had 3 or 4 1,200 foot lines with 6 foot spacing, and I think that's when I was buying like 2-3 bushels of trip from you.
Yeah.
Just stuffing every 6 foot, and I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't thinking it through right.
Especially when you're hand dipping too. Like all of a sudden it's like there you, you know. So
yes,
that's
another thing. The timing with the spacing of the.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like, you know, the other thing with, another thing, going back to the line a little bit, maybe like snood lines is out going to catch. A lot of guys back in the day, we would use chicken, straight line, 3 strands, stick the chicken right in there, and you would go. And you would still catch.
Yep.
When crabs started getting a little bit scarce and hard to catch, you had to like really educate yourself on like, it used to be I could go out there with 25 pots, put them and catch my 3 bushel and be back on the trail at 9 o'clock. My first 10 or 15 years of crabbing, that's how it was. And as crabs got scarce, more pressure, different climate changes and all that stuff, you really had to like hone in on your game. So you had to know where edges and ledges were, you know, like you try and, like your gear, like I went from a straight line to a snood line. Crab's gonna hold on to a snood line so much better than a straight line. And tide, like you wanna crab across tide as much as you possibly can. You know, you laying with the tide will work, but you think about it, that crab, he's going with the tide in most cases. So you're covering more area by crabbing across the tide. Got to be careful. If you get in a strong current area, it's going to rip you apart and you're not going to be able to run. You'll get 2 or 3 runs and your line's going to be just pulled. I used to say bow and arrow tight, where you could shoot an arrow off the line, it gets so tight. But you know, angle it as much as you can tolerate, and you'll do much better.
So this is great. Like I came in to talk about clams, and I got Dave all excited about crabbing.
I just be my passion, man. I was telling you earlier, I was always the first guy on the river and the last guy off the river, and there didn't used to be a time limit. So I would literally, like at Y Mills, I'm the first guy at the boat ramp at midnight. I'd work second shift and get off and have my boat behind me, and boom, right to the boat ramp. And then I would crab until, like, my buddy stopped going with me.
Right.
It was like,
it's too long.
It's not fun. And I'm like, wait a minute, I do all the work, I bait, my boat, my gas, my truck. The fun part is crabbing.
Yep.
All the other stuff is work, and it's a grind.
It is.
But when I'm on that line and I'm crabbing, especially when you're hand dipping, I mean, I've got an auto dipper now, but when you're hand dipping, it's so much damn fun.
It is
It's
so fun. I miss that because I never have any help. So in my other videos, you'll see my auto dipper, and the only reason I have it is I can't hand dip in my rig. But
There's a lot of benefits to auto dipping.
especially when you have friends and competition, you can bust each other's.
Yeah, you'll catch crabs on that auto dipper that you'll never see hand dipping.
My last trip,
Yeah.
like the last video, like I thought I caught 2 and I pulled the dipper up and I had 8 in there. Like you just don't see them. But there's also downsides. We're not going to talk about auto dippers anymore.
Yeah,
So one common question is, can I reuse razor clams? What are your thoughts on that?
You know what? I'm a big fan. I'm a big advocate of fresh bait. So I would say early in the season, yeah, like I referenced earlier, early in the season you can spot bait clams because again the crabs are metabolically slowed down when the water temperatures get cooler, so they're not going to hurt you real bad. So you can get. I mean, I've talked to a lot of guys that crab every day, and sometimes they say as the bait gets a little bit older in the spring and the fall, it works a little bit better. But they'll go 2 or 3 crabbings before they just completely rebait, and they'll just go in and spot bait. You pull through the line, you see a bag needs a clam or 2, you put it in there. Yeah, absolutely. But in the summertime, you know, when the water temperatures get up, and you know the clams are going to open up right away, and the crab, you got skates and you got fish and you got turtles and everything else in the world is just working on those clams. And so I used to call them baby rattles. When I get home, it would be like the shells would be like little rattles.
Yeah, that's how I spot bait. I usually pick it up. It feels heavy, it's good.
Yeah,
if it's rattling and it's light, it's time to go.
Yeah, you can get away with it. But here, this is just my philosophy. If you're recreational crabbing, I don't give a crap. I'm putting fresh
if you're gonna go one time,
yeah, I'm gonna put fresh bait on.
Yeah, put fresh bait on.
Because it just eliminates another
But
variable.
there are some wrecks that go all the time, like my friend Captain Claus, he goes all the time.
Right.
And sometimes it's like, do I want to come back home after a long day? No, I'm going back out tomorrow. Right. I spend the money, and for me it's not even about the money, it's the time. Like you're already exhausted, you want to get a few hours of extra sleep in before.
If you're baiting 1,200 feet though, I mean that you can knock that out in 45 minutes to an hour with clams. So, but like these guys that are long lining, yeah, that gets to be cumbersome. If you're trying to bait 4,800 feet of clam line, you better have a helper. Yeah, it's just a lot of guys are going to pay people. You know, like, I think they'll charge like $25 a line just to bait a line like a 1,200 foot piece. Yeah, I mean, if you got that kind of money, but.
Well, you know, a lot of crabbers like to be frugal too, right?
Yeah, most of them bait on their own.
Yes, and you know, if they save that extra $60 on clams, because a lot of people won't go to clams because they're so expensive versus a chicken or a fowl neck.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, my philosophy really is like you can reuse it, but the one best thing is he was saying that protecting the clam is when the clam's alive, it keeps itself in the shell. Right. Right. So once it dies and it's kind of just fresh meat floating around in there, it's going to be gone in no time.
Absolutely. A fish or something's going to come suck
in my opinion, you can use frozen, you can use dead as long as it's semi-fresh. It's going to be gone. If the crabs are heavy in that area, it is gone.
And honest, my experience with frozen clams is.
They can work, but
but it's not even close to fresh.
Yeah.
It's just not.
If you're in a pickle, you could use it. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, if you want to go out with the kids and mess around with 10 or 15 pull pods, you stop at one of your local bait places and buy a bucket of clams for $14, $15 and go out there and mess around. You'll catch some crabs, yeah. But if you want to go out and really target catching a couple bushel, use fresh. I mean, that's
another question that comes across that I see all the time is how many clams do I need? Now this is obviously going to go to spacing, but typically, do you have a recommendation of how many clams I need to bait my line?
I mean, like typically,
if you use like just say recreational, you're going to be around 6 feet.
Yeah, if you're going to bait a 1,200 foot trout line, I'd buy a half bushel, and a half bushel will do just about 1,200 foot. You can bait it fairly heavy. When I was baiting up, I was baiting on average. Most of the time I went, I took between 300 and 3,600 foot of line. And I could make a bushel, I could stretch a bushel to
that's about what I get.
Yeah, about 3,000 foot. And if I stretched it, I could go 3,600 feet.
Cool.
But yeah, I believe in heavy baiting, you know, so that way I can stay longer.
Yeah.
You know?
So we've talked about crabbing, you know, ahead of schedule, but so you're definitely an avid crabber, right?
Yeah, well, since I've started in this business, unfortunately I only get out like 2 or 3 times a year. But when I started in the early 80s, every chance I got, I was out there. On the Chester River primarily, and then it actually slowed and I wound up going to the Y River. So I mean, I've crabbed just about every inch of both those rivers extensively. And I've been up and down the bay, you know, so as far as the Honda River and Chop Tank and all the other places.
Where's your just favorite place to crab? Is it like memories? It could be best kept, you know, whatever it is. Like if you're in a happy place and there were a million crabs there, where do you like to go?
My favorite place is the Chester River. Just for whatever reason, the Chester and the Wye, from a quality standpoint, consistently have had the biggest crabs I've ever seen in my life. You know, the last couple of years there have been some bigger crabs being caught in the Miles and in the Severn and places like that. But throughout the years, bar none, and don't ask me why, but that Chester River, the taste of that crab is different.
Yeah.
It's so much better than the rest of the.
Yeah, before I started crabbing, I used to just buy it from the store, and you know, it's like it tastes like a crab. And then when I got out there, and I would catch them Miles, and then 2 days later I'd be hitting the Y or out in Easter Bay. Like it's funny how you can taste the difference in the crabs.
Yeah, you
it's
sure
crazy.
Can. It's absolutely, and in shell size, that's what everybody likes, is them great big crabs. And when they see those big Chester River crabs, it's just.
They seem extra muddy. Like I love white crabs, but
yeah.
The problem is Chester just drives me nuts. It's so big. Like the river's so many areas to try.
Yeah.
It just seems like they're so scattered. You're either like on them or not seeing anything.
It is, and you can well, just anywhere it's kind of true, but more typically so like in the Y, particularly the Y. The Y is even more challenging to crab because there's very few places where you can put out a long line, and so like. Sometimes you can lay out a long line and you're only catching the crabs on half of it because it's up on the shoal end and the other end's in the deep end, and sometimes that'll flip. In the afternoon it's like, whoa, I'm catching more on the deep end. But when you can put a short line, if you're not on them, you know, you're going to run down that line and catch 1 or 2 crabs, and you're like, oh my God. You know, sometimes you can overcome that shortcoming with a 4,800 foot line because it's just sheer number, sheer volume. Yeah, so, but yeah, bar none, the Chester River's always been my favorite, always. I started out in the East Neck Island area, and then I kind of worked my way all the way up through the entire river. So anywhere.
It takes a long time to learn these things.
A lifetime.
Yes. I mean, I'm about 10 years in. Part of the reason why I like making this channel is because every year I just learn something.
Yep. And everybody has their preferred lays. You know, I mean, and it gets kind of habitual for me. Like during certain periods of the year, I know generally where the crabs are going to be based on conditions. You know, moon phase, temperatures, all that good stuff. So I might have 1 or 2 lays, say, you know, down by East Neck Island, and then later in the year when the crabs move upriver, I'm like, all right, I know a good place in Cliff City, and I almost always go to where I was before, and just because I know a ledge, I know an edge, I know where that lay works, and so that's once you find them, and as you find them through trial and error.
Yes,
you know,
a lot of it's trial and error.
Yeah,
you're not going to be given intel most of the time.
No, it's amazing how this just changes, and every year's different. You know, just
every year is different too. That's another thing.
Yep. Just when you think you've got these things figured out and you've got them mastered, the game changes. It just does.
Yeah, it's going to be different. I swear, I put in a couple posts that this year's going to be different just because I have more short-term memory, and the last 5 years have been so no salt.
Right. Yeah.
And this year it's so salty, like the jellyfish in North of Rock Hall.
Already.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So the last 2 or 3 years, like the Chester River, has my favorite, just never really turned on. I mean, it turned on last year for maybe a week or 2, and that was it. They were there and then they were gone. Yeah. But you know, most of the crabs have been staying down like the Tillman, Chop Tank area, Tread Avon, and that's where all the people are. And there's more. That's one thing about this resource. There's more people crabbing now than in my entire lifetime, and you have so many advantages and disadvantages. The advantages you have are technology. You know, all these forums on Facebook, everybody's talking, drives the commercial guys nuts, and all you weekend warriors.
Not here to give away secrets.
Yeah, right. All the weekend warriors are talking, and it's like, hey, the crabs are on the tread. And then the guy that's out there every day, he goes to get in his lane. There's like 40 duck boats zipping around him. You know what I mean? And that tends to just stir things up with that much activity. Let alone, get off my line. You know, you get a lot of that kind of stuff. So
line to lay.
Yeah, and there's so many apps on the phone for tides and wind and all those other dynamics that back in the day, those were all trial and error. You know, you just learned where they were. You didn't have people pointing in the right direction. So, and
it's a blessing and it's a curse. Right.
And the other thing is,
I think if I started crab when I was in my teens, it would have been a struggle. I think the only thing that I found out at the time was, you heard of Mike Copus? He had a video. It was like crabbing, and like there wasn't a lot of how-to.
Right.
You could have beautiful swimmers. That was a book. But,
yes. Right.
You know, unless someone befriended you and knew how to crab, then you're like on your own.
Well, that was the biggest gains that I actually made. Is I was your weekend warrior for a long, long time, and I still was pretty much. I wasn't a crabber every day. I went out pretty extensively, but one day a commercial crabber came to work for me. I hired him. because he couldn't make it in the water business anymore. He just wasn't making a good enough living. He's getting older. He wanted to retire and move on. Just wanted a job for something to do. And we started talking about crabbing, and he's like, well, I'll take you out and show you a few things. That changed like my whole crabbing dynamic, my whole thought process, because he was the guy that showed me snooze lines and edges and ledges and pulling lines tight, you know, high and tight. Sometimes you run lines high and tight, and other times low and slow. You know, sunny side versus shady side. You know, if you're out there crabbing and people think, oh my God, I got to keep the sun off my line. No. If it's really sunny and you're casting shadows on your line, turn around and give the crabs the sun. Don't give them the shade, because they'll see that shade and they're gone. Oh, yeah. But if it's a sunny side line, they'll hang in there a little bit better. So, I mean, just crabbing with him 2 or 3 times, it upped my game big time. Because these guys that do it for a living, they're masters at it. And, you know, it isn't as simple as it may seem.
No, it's just something that's so simple to learn and hard to master, almost impossible.
Exactly. And the guys that do it every day for a living, they work hard at it, and they know through what we talked about before. Nobody gets more experience than them at doing it.
No. And then every day they're learning.
Yep.
So what kind of rig you're on?
I got a 24-foot Carolina skiff, and I got a 115 Honda on it, and I have an auto dipper. And I used to hand dip off of it, but you know, again, you can talk about the benefits of auto dippers and the downfalls. That's an opinion thing.
Yep.
You know, when you talk about crab shelf life and all that, my crabs didn't sit on the shelf long enough to die, because I was pretty much selling to the general public, so I didn't have much of an issue with dead loss. I didn't run my lines. If you run them hard, real fast and long lines, yeah, you're gonna hurt your shelf life. But if you don't run real fast and you run shorter lines, I didn't see that big of a difference.
No, I don't either.
But the benefits of the dipper are, to me, I mean, I love hand dipping because it's more sporting. It's more fun to take buddies out there and, you missed, and I get to ride your butt all day because you missed.
Right.
But the auto dipper catches crabs you don't see when it's windy and it's rainy and you can't see that line. Yes. All I need to know is I'm running that line straight. And that's
also the worst time to run all the dipper in my book, like, because I'm by myself and my rig's a little big, same size, but it's bigger profile.
Yeah.
Approaching that ball, because you just can't run the ball over the buoy.
No.
You got to kind of approach it. If the wind keeps blowing you away, like, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. You got to play the wind and the tide to get on that thing, because as soon as you hit that buoy and knock it loose, oh my Lord, it's a nightmare. Fits. Speaking of like lead lines and stuff like that, there's a lot of guys that don't do this, and this is something that I learned. Made my
Dave's crabbing tip video.
And a lot of people do it, but for the guys that don't do it, run an extra line off your anchor, because a lot of guys come to the end of the line and they either got to tighten it or loosen it, and what they'll do is they'll run past their buoy and then they'll pull the line and pull the line and grab the anchor and hold it and go, and then when you let it go, by the time you get to where you want, you've lost what you want. Yeah. And the other thing is, when you want to loosen it, if you got an extra little buoy hanging off that anchor, you come by, you just give it a little quick snatch, boom, you got your slack.
We're
if
on
you
the same page.
Yeah. But
it's in one of my videos about trout lines. Having that anchor, like tensioner, whatever you want to call it, anchor buoy.
Yeah.
Just pick that up, and then, because the one thing is, if you're putting that much pressure on the anchor, you let go, you can see it shoot.
Oh, absolutely.
It just shoots and doesn't get a chance to.
And if you're on a hard bottom, it's just going to roll on that hard bottom. And I mean, that and long lead lines. Do not be afraid. I mean, my lead lines typically were 100 foot long, minimal. And that's when I'm in shoal water, because you don't want that first 100 foot of your trot line not on that bottom. You want it on the bottom. And then later in the fall, when you get out in deeper water, I would go to 150, sometimes 200 foot.
I always run 200 feet.
Yeah, when you get out in shoal water and long anchor lines, you know. I mean, I used to have 2 sets of gears, because in the summertime you're generally grabbing in anywhere from 3 to 12, 15 foot of water. Fall, when you're out there where the crabs are in 25 foot of water, you gotta change your stuff out.
Cool. Well, awesome conversation. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to buy Dave, what's the best way to reach you?
You can reach me. Best way is on my cell phone, 443-945-3606. Ask for Dave. I sell clams by the half bushel and by the bushel. And generally what I try and do is I try and keep the clams as fresh as possible. So a lot of bait buyers will buy 30 or 40 bushels, throw them in the cooler on Monday, and try and sell them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I got a couple guys that dig for me every day. So I give clams fresh every day. So if you call me the night before, the next morning I'll have the next afternoon I'll have your clams for you. And I do
like bunker and
I sell bunker by the flat. Generally, I mean, it's market rate, but right now it's about $20 a flat. Not a lot of guys use bunker on trot lines.
They're potters.
Yeah, potters,
Some,
yeah.
foul necks,
Yeah,
right? So he doesn't just, I just thought you sold clams.
Yeah, no, foul necks as
Snapping
well.
turtles.
Yep, I sell foul necks by the case, 40-pound cases. So right now, like a 40-pound box of foul necks is.
What's the name of your business?
Millington Seafood.
And we're in Millington.
And we're in Millington, Maryland, so it's not real hard to.
Lots of people up my way are, you know, outside of one shop that I won't name that, you know, everyone looks for clams.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, so I live up in the Elkton area, so typically, like, since I'm traveling that way to go home, I meet guys from here all the way to Elkton, like, you know.
So you can still do the once a day?
Mm-hmm, yep, I'll meet you up in Elkton, and there's a place where, you know, if you buy clams from me, I'll tell you where I'm at.
Yep.
And you can come meet me, and I'll have your clams, and say you drive, I get some guys that drive down from PA, meet me in Elkton, guys come down from Newark, that area.
Awesome.
So, and I'm just, so Millington is about 20 minutes south of Middletown, Delaware. So I'm pretty central to the northern end. Most of the clam guys are selling them down like the Ken Island, Ken Island.
For me, I found them a little more expensive, but for me, like, I need someone that's honest, trustworthy, good to deal with, and for an extra $5, I don't feel like driving.
Yeah, and actually, part of that extra $5 is like, I get them fresh, I deliver them, and my diggers, I have two of the best diggers on the bag. I'll pump them up, and they charge a little bit more, but they're worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
always great quality. I've never had an issue.
yeah, and I've got two guys digging for me. So when clams get scarce, you know, generally I'm gonna have them. You know.
Awesome. And I'll put all that contact information down below if you're interested.
Sure, appreciate
Awesome.
that.
Thank you for your time,
Matt,
sir.
Thank you very much,
Yep,
man.
yep.
Hope I was helpful to you.
Yep.
And anytime, like you said, I was very, very passionate about crabbing, and I'm still I wish I could do it as much as you guys get the chance to do it. So enjoy it while you can.
Yes. Awesome.
So now the winners for the giveaways. The first one will go for the grab bag giveaway. Give a little drum roll, please. And the winner is Jay Trexler for the grab bag giveaway. I'll be in touch, and you get to pick out what you want, and I'll get it sent out to you. Up next for the 200 subscriber giveaway. So roll the drum roll one more time. Congratulations to Richard Fields. You are the winner for the 200 subscriber giveaway. I'll get in touch with you. You can pick out which piece of art, crab basket art you want, and it's going to take about 2 weeks, I believe. The last time I talked to the guy that makes them, then we'll get it shipped out to you. But I'll be in touch. And we're already halfway there. I just hit over 250 subscribers. So once we hit 300 subscribers, I'll be doing away the keg steamer, which is an awesome gift. If you don't have one, they are amazing. Get hot. They hold a bushel perfectly. Get hot real well. No wear and tear. All stainless steel. They're amazing. I can't wait to give that one away. So if you know anyone, share this channel out. Share it. Get them to like and subscribe to the videos. As soon as we hit 300 subscribers, I'll be giving away a keg steamer.
Thanks, everybody. Till next time, I'll catch you later.
Come see me for clams.